My dear friends, once again, sincerely and very humbly, a very heartfelt welcome to you again. Please know your presence, particularly in this beautiful weather, is truly a blessing. You know, the last few days, we in our community here, and also my two buddies, Rabbi Ted Falcon and Pastor Don McKenzie, we've been contacted by a lot of the media asking us about what is happening these days, meaning the Park 51 situation, the fact that there's a lot of anger about mosques being built in other parts of the states, about the threat to burn the Qur'an, and the most recent one, you probably know, the one in Seattle, the fatwa issued against Molly Norris, the cartoonist who wanted to draw the picture, or he did draw the picture, face of Muhammad on cartoons and other places, and then a lot of anger about that on both sides. So the first thing is, from a spiritual perspective, all this anger, this bitterness, on all sides, Muslim side, non-Muslim side, how is it best summarized? I like best Rumi's verse. In his time also, he had the same extremism. And you know, as Rumi did, never wrote, just would go into a trance. So his comment about this was, all fireworks and no light. All husk and no kernel. And it is important to know, in those days, as also today, you have people who come from the ego, the little self. In Islam we say from the nafs. We have people who are more integrated, and they come from their soul. Which is why I love also that wonderful mystical verse, which talks about opportunists who are more interested in serving not the kingdom of God, but the kingdom of one's own interested self, the little self. And those people who are really dedicated to serving the kingdom of God, honoring truth. So once again, the mystical utterance about this situation, from the same situation, you have two different responses. The verses or the utterances, a bee and a wasp, they drink from the same flower. One produces nectar, the other one produces a sting. So let's just be with that. What do we choose? And this really is dependent, all the traditions say, is dependent on our level of consciousness, number one, and our intention. What is our intention? So as you are mulling over this, what are some spiritual insights we can take away from this? From this furor, from this confusion, from this anger, from this generalization. The pastor wants to burn the Quran. So to the Islamic extremist, he judges the entire religion of Christianity based on that act. Some have. Some extremists perpetrated the 9/11. Some non-Muslims have, with one brush, defined Islam based on that situation, on that terrible act. So what is a spiritual lesson? The very clear one, which you know, is every tradition says, in dealing with the other, can I really, in my own life, in my speech, in my actions, can I make a distinction, a differentiation, a discernment between behavior and being? I know we all know that. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad, he would say that we might know it. But he says, I beg you, move from a knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart about this. Move from a knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart. Do we really understand this, that in dealing with the other, there is a distinction between behavior and being? In other words, a person's behavior can be evil, but a person's being can never be evil. whether it's Osama bin Laden or whether it's my mother-in-law. It applies on every level. So the problem arises, of course, not in dealing with easy situations or with someone I like, in dealing with difficult people. People who are adversarial, who want to employ violence, who are a threat to me. So what do we do there? Now some of you remember the wonderful saying, the insight by this beautiful Sufi mystic Kabir, who says, I think 16th, 17th century, he says, in dealing with such a person, protect yourself. Don't allow yourself to be abused. Do what is right. Do whatever is necessary. But he says, I beg you, I beg you, I beg you, please do not leave this person's being, this person's, shall we say, Christ nature, Allah nature, Elohim nature, Buddha nature, do not leave this person's being out of your heart. Can I really take that deeply within me and move from a knowledge of the tongue to the heart about that? In my everyday life, can I make that discernment? In my words, in my necessary actions, can I keep that in mind? Do what is right, but never leave the other person's being, essence, out of your heart. And what do the great teachers say? All the traditions say, just being aware of this discernment and practicing it, it has the power to shift heaven and earth. I repeat, keeping this discernment in mind, in my words, in my actions, taking this to heart, this has the power to shift heaven and earth. And we know we shall be given a lot of opportunities to practice this. I love the verse of the Qur'an which says, we have sent some of you as a trial for others. Will you have patience? Will you have patience?